How's it going, guys? This is Soul Singed here, and today we are taking a look at the brand new Double XL freshman class for 2024. Now, I know it's been a long time since I've uploaded anything, and I apologize for that. There's just been a lot going on in my personal life that really needs its own video, but we're not here to talk about that. Today, we're here to talk about the new freshman cover. I'm going to give my overall thoughts on the list, briefly go over each artist, explaining if I think they were a good pick or not, and then at the very end, I'm going to go over some artists who I were expecting to be on the list or thought would be on the list. So for the overall list, it's fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's fine. I'll definitely say it's about as good as it can be for where Double XL is at right now, as well as the overall hip hop genre. Because a lot of people just don't put stock into the freshman list anymore. No one really takes it that seriously. A lot of artists decline it. So, for where hip hop is at and where Double XL is at, I think this list it's about as good as it can be. I think we have some solid picks. So, yeah, let's just get into each individual artist. All right, first up, we got Lay Banks, and I've never heard of her before in my life. I was seeing a lot of people upset that she was on the list. A lot of people comparing her to Ruby Rose. So, I'm assuming she's also like a social media influencer. I looked into her music. She had a song that popped off on TikTok a while back. She's got a couple songs doing pretty good on YouTube. And to me, it just seems like she's the type of artist that is really popular with like young, like teenage girls that exist solely on social media. Like the kids I'm talking about are like your like ratchet, hot Cheeto type girls, you know, like the ones that are the evolved form of the iPad kids. So I can understand why a lot of people don't find her music appealing. I personally don't like it. It's not for me, but I'm fine with her being on the list. I personally probably wouldn't have put her on the list just because of how niche her music is. Because it's like if you're outside of her demographic, you're not really going to find any enjoyment in her music. But she's popping off, and I'm fine with her being here. Now, at first, I thought I'd never heard of Maya the Dom before, and I kept thinking about it and kept thinking, I know I've heard her name before. I know I've seen her before, but where is it from? And then I finally remembered she was on that all-female Cypher Double XL did a few months back. And I was expecting one or two rappers from that Cypher to make the list, but the only one that did is Maya the Don, and personally there's another one that I would have picked over her, but she's who's we got. After looking into her music, she definitely seems to be the smallest of all the artists on this year's cover. Smallest in terms of popularity, definitely not smallest in terms of size, but again, her music's okay. I'm fine with her being on here. I don't really care one way or another. Alright, now this is a solid pick. Definitely felt Big X the Plug was one of the big locks for this year's freshman cover, and I am very glad he's on the list. He has a really good voice, a really solid delivery. He's been popping off like crazy. He had that Texas song, which was absolutely huge. Just really, really solid pick, and definitely going to be one of the big standouts of this year's cover. Alright, so next we got Huncho. I've heard the name, heard a couple tracks from him. Not super into it. He just kind of sounds like one of your typical, like, auto-tune, Future-esque rappers. Yeah, I'm fine with him being on here. He's definitely making his way up. Like I said, I'm familiar with the name, heard a couple tracks. I could leave or take Huncho. Alright, next up we got Skilla Baby, repping Detroit. Now I'm gonna be real with you guys. Detroit has got to be one of my favorite scenes in rap right now, and Double XL they've been showing Detroit some love. Back in 2021, they had 42 Doug. 2022, they had Babytron and Babyface Ray. And now we got Skilla Baby. And Skilla Baby is a really good example of that Detroit style. He's definitely in the same category as guys like Babytron, Rio the Young OG, Y&J, and all those type of guys, which it's definitely a very unique sound that not a lot of people find enjoyable. I'm a big fan of that style. And yeah, super, super glad to see Skilla Baby on the list. Definitely glad they're showing Detroit some love, especially that true, unique Detroit style that's been really coming up the last couple of years. All right, we got Cash Cobain. Never heard of this guy before until his song with J. Cole, Grippy. That's basically the only time I had heard of this guy prior to the Double XL list. He has a really one note sound to me, if that makes sense. Like every song of his just sounds like he's doing the same thing. And he has a really unique style, I'll give him that. But it's not one that I'm personally a fan of, if I'm just going to be honest. Alright, next up we got Rich Amiri. He's basically Opium, but not in Opium. He's doing the same kind of vibe, the same kind of style that the Opium guys like Ken Carson and Destroy Lonely are doing, except he's not in Opium, and he's not on that goofy Opium weirdo shit that guys like Ken Carson and Destroy Lonely be on. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, I'm referring to that goofy shit they do where they just try so hard to be like super mysterious and low key. Like Rich Amiri just seems like a normal guy. He also can kind of fit in with guys like Sofago, you know. So definitely part of that rage sound that's been really popular the last couple years. And not a huge fan of him, you know. His music doesn't do a whole lot for me, but I think he's a good pick for this year's list. I think he really encapsulates that kind of new generation of sound that these newer rage rappers have been doing. Bossman D-Lo. I've heard the name. I'm familiar with the name, but I haven't really listened to a ton of his music. I'm not super familiar with him overall, but what few songs I've heard from him, I like. So, yeah, I'll definitely be checking out some more Bossman D-Lo. And next up, we have Forbats. Now, this is the only freshman who I was truly upset with being on here. Now, music-wise, Forbats is fine. He's whatever. You know, he's not really a rapper. He's like Friday or YK Osiris or Rod Wave. He's much more of just an R&B singer, you know. And the thing is, bro has, like, no music. He has, like, what, a 9-track project and, like, 4 singles. And he just kind of popped up out of nowhere last year. Blew up like crazy. Got a Drake feature. Like, this guy just came out of nowhere, is on top of the game, and barely has any music. You know, like, people are saying industry plan, and I'm like, whatever. I mean, a lot of people don't even care about industry plans anymore, so we shouldn't even pretend to care now. But the fact that this guy has basically no catalog of music is what gets me. Like, I can understand a freshman not having, like, any projects or anything, but at least having some, like, a good stockpile of singles, you know. Like, this guy, he just has nothing. And then based on the freestyle trailer, he didn't do a freestyle, and this motherfucker probably didn't do a cypher either, so what the fuck? And last, but most certainly not least, we have Scarlett. I've been hearing her name mentioned a lot the last few months, and I finally broke down and looked into her music. Her name alone is what got me wanting to listen to her music. I know she got her name Scarlet because of the scar on her lip, but it reminded me of like Star-Lord with the name, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see what's up with her. And what few songs I've heard from her, I'm really liking what she's doing. This Is New York and She's Hot are really, really good tracks in my opinion. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what she does down the road.